Kuala Lumpur and the surrounding region. The choking haze comes from forest fires in Indonesia, with neighbouring countries calling for more efforts to stop the burning. Malaysian ruling party leader Anwar Ibrahim spoke exclusively to Bloomberg.
We should feel outraged, and I consider this an ecological warfare. It requires government to be more assertive.
Global News 24 hours a day, on air and at TikTok, on Twitter, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Sandra Kilhalf. This is Bloomberg. Roger.
Thanks so much indeed, Sandra. Now with this morning's sport news, here's Colin Besley.
Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp says further clarification is needed when it comes to the video assistant referee. The technology failed to overturn a contentious penalty decision in their 2-0 Champions League group stage defeat away to Italian side Napoli. Meanwhile, Ross Barkley missed a controversial late penalty as Chelsea fell to a 1-0 defeat at home to Spanish side Valencia. The midfielder appeared to remonstrate with teammates over who would take the spot kick, but his boss Frank Lampard insists there shouldn't be any confusion. Last season's runners-up Tottenham are in Greece this evening to take on Olympiacos. That's followed by Manchester City's first group stage tie against Ukrainian side Shakhtar Donetsk. The Welsh Rugby Union is investigating claims that attacked coach Rob Howley has broken the sport's betting rules. He returned home from his country's World Cup camp in Japan to assist the WRU. Former Wales fly-half Stephen Jones will replace him ahead of their tournament opener against Georgia on Monday.
That's your European sport. We've got some headlines coming through from Jean-Claude Juncker of the EU, speaking alongside Barnier in the European Parliament. And Juncker saying that the main Brexit sticking point is the Irish border backstop. We've certainly known that for a while, but he says that the risk of no-deal Brexit is palpable and that the risk of no-deal Brexit remains real. And we're seeing cable drop off the back of that. We gained 0.6% to hit 125 yesterday. We're down 0.2%, trading at 124.73. Elsewhere in the markets, of course, we're looking ahead to the Fed decision. Stocks struggling for direction ahead of that. This is Bloomberg.
Rich is just a really good guy. The term good egg isn't enough to describe him. He's also certified organic and free range. Rich puts the cap back on everything. The toothpaste, the olive oil, the shampoo, everything. He lets his 10-year-old nephew beat him at virtual tennis, even though he can straight up slay his 10-year-old nephew in virtual tennis. When the toilet paper is running low, Rich replaces the roll on the actual holder, not just on the back of the toilet. Rich is texting and driving. Rich? No. What are you doing, Rich? I was just telling everyone how great you are. Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a public service announcement brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Investors who put their money on the line to help build U.S. infrastructure deserve to be protected. That's what we do at BAM. Our unconditional guarantee means investors receive every payment of interest and principal when due, period. BAM-insured bonds have a high AA stable rating from S&P, and BAM credit profiles provide complete transparency on each and every transaction. BAM-insured bonds help build America's essential public projects. BAM, the feeling is mutual.
You took the first step and quit smoking, but even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Influential conversations from Bloomberg Television. Here's Paul Allen.
Let's bring in our first guest for his take on the Fed's intervention. Joining us for an exclusive interview, the Executive Vice Chairman of the world's largest alternative asset manager, Blackstone Group's Tony James, joins us now right here in Sydney. Tony, thanks so much for joining us today. Paul. We see that overnight repo rate really spiking there and hauling up the effective funds rate with it. We've got the New York Fed conducting an operation, another one to come. But is the repo market broken? How much of a concern is this really?
I don't think the repo market is broken at all. This kind of thing used to be common. They haven't had to do it in a long time, but I think it's important to remember the rate spike looks very scary, but it's only overnight. So the actual cost of the system is not high. It's more of a concern to dealers. It's a technical problem, very short term, that the Fed's addressing. I think the Fed wants stability right now above all else, so I'm not surprised that they stepped in here.
If we can accept that the Fed kind of got into this in a way by purchasing $2.5 trillion worth of treasuries in the wake of the global financial crisis, what's the plan for getting out again? Is some structural reform needed here?
The plan for getting out is the big unanswered question. It's one thing to stop purchasing, as they've done, but the winding down of that balance is a whole other issue.
Hear more interviews like this one on Bloomberg Television, streaming live on Bloomberg.com and on the Bloomberg mobile app, or check your local cable listings.
Markets, headlines and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app and at TikTok on Twitter. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
From Bloomberg's European headquarters in London, I'm Naira Chehich. Time now for your Bloomberg Radio Business Flash, and for that we head to the First Word breaking news desk. For today's morning call, here's Michael Reid.
Good morning, Naira. European equities trade either side of unchanged, off worse levels for those in negative territory. EU logistics operators in focus. Deutsche Post is off 1.5% on read-through after FedEx slashed its profit outlook yesterday. Otherwise, telecoms and banks trade well. Autos and financial services lag. Bunds and treasuries are grinding small higher, curves flattening slightly, but the rate to market is mostly steady ahead of this evening's Fed meeting. Pound sterling on the back foot in recent trade, dropping as EU's Juncker said that risks of a no-deal Brexit are palpable. Elsewhere, relatively quiet in the G10 space. Crude futures are broadly steady overnight. WTI crude flat on a $59 handle. Brent is up around 0.2%. Coming up today, we have a round of UK inflation data and a final look at CPIs from the Eurozone for August. Focus will be on the FOMC rate decision and press conference from Chair Powell this evening. Note, after the recent surge in repo markets, the New York Fed have announced they'll conduct another $75 billion repo operation at 8:15 to 8:30 Eastern Time today. On the speakers front, ECB's DeCos and De Guindos this morning and ECB's Valeroy this afternoon. That's it from me. To hear live breaking news, type SQUA on your Bloomberg terminal. Naira.
Great to have you with us, Michael. Thank you so much. That's your Bloomberg Business Flash. Here's Sandra Kilhoff with more on what's going on around the world.
Good morning, Naira. Bermuda is bracing for the powerful Category 3 storm Hurricane Umberto. It lands today with officials planning for early shutdowns of schools, public transportation and government offices. China is investigating the death of a popular giant panda in Thailand. Chuang had been at the Chiang Mai Zoo since 2003, but his unexplained death has caused uproar on Chinese social media. Researchers found air pollution particles on the fetal side of placentas. It indicates that unborn babies are directly exposed to the black carbon produced by motor traffic and fuel burning. It's the first study to show the placental barrier can be penetrated by particles breathed in by the mother. And New Zealand will reprise its starring role as Middle-earth after Amazon Studios said it will film its new Lord of the Rings television series there. The country beat rival Scotland to be named the production location for the series, which is set to be the most expensive TV show ever made. Global news 24 hours a day, on air and at TikTok, on Twitter, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120